Up. Let's give some more love. Yeah. So perhaps you've heard the story of the little boy that his parents have taken him to a new spiritual community, and they were quite excited to jump back in the car at the end of the service and see what he thought. And he said, well, the music was nice, but the commercial was way too long. So I'm keenly aware of that today, and I'm going to keep my commercial smooth and clean, okay? But I think it's important with it being the Advent season, and we're talking about this week would be love. And love is a word that I think sometimes it's so simple for people to go around and I love myself the way I am, there's nothing I need to change. And people go, oh, the minister talked about love today, and that's so simple. Is it simple? Every day? The person in traffic, did you love them this morning? Right? The kids, the that, the this, the that. Though it's a practice. And I think it's very important for us to give ourselves that. It's an everyday practice, this wonderful journey called love. What I know for sure is that until I really surrendered to loving me was when the windows and the lights and everything opened, that I could truly embrace others regardless of conditions. Does that make sense to you? Yeah, so it's in that space. So this is the journey today, is how are love and worth related? How are they connected within our heart and within our sacred space? And I think unity does that very well. It teaches us our divine significance. Because like Raymond Charles Barker said once, if God thought enough of you to create you, yeah. Then you ought to think enough of yourself. Amen. Everybody breathe that in. If God thought enough of you to create you, then think enough of yourself. And around the season of Christ birthing in us, it's so much more than a story that happened over 2,000 years ago. It's about a story of how it becomes your story. How does the sacredness of your birth this year imply where you're at and where I am with the energy as we bring light into the world? And I think it's important for us to say more than we were born, we were sent. Isn't that powerful? When you build upon that, and you know that you were sent, you're probably standing somewhere on the conveyor belt, right? And they said, we're going to be sending you, and this is what your task is going to be. And it's not always going to be easy, and it's not going to be without hardship, but it's your task to show people how to do it with the power of love. Does that sound convincing today? So when we look at worth, we look at inner value and connection within our soul. I read on social media, a woman posted that there are seagulls that are 200 miles from the coast in North Carolina. And they're there in the Kmart parking lot, and they're eating all the debris from some of the local fast food places and probably from Kmart. And they're just partaking in all this stuff that's not really natural for them. But they have lost their way. They're lost. But rather than retrace or look at where did I make the wrong turn as I was flying in the sky, they have settled upon the crumbs that are there in the parking lot. And that is what worth calls forth in all of us. When you have a moment, when your psychology says, I'm feeling a little lost in the moment. I'm feeling a little off in the moment. When your psychology is pulling you in your emotional body, it's like, where did I take a turn? What computer screen did I open in my heart that I started questioning my well-being or my possibilities? Where do I need to reassess? Because here are these seagulls that they're missing out on the plenitude of the ocean waters itself that was made that they partake and that they have enough. In Scripture, It refers often when Jesus, who's one of our master teachers, Buddha, Yogananda, the beauty of here, Hare Krishna, the beauty of here at Unity is we welcome people from all faiths and all walks of life, do we not? We tend to go one-sided during Christmas and Easter, but that's okay, right? Right? We just kind of go there, okay? Maybe it's habit, maybe it's necessary. I'm not going to get into that with you today. But the point is that the consciousness is what matters. Our Christ consciousness is what matters. And Jesus taught by parables. He was a storyteller because that's what people tend to grab hold of. It activates the visionary within us when we hear a story and it moves us, yes? And we go, wow, I can keep going. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I can work my Fitbit a little harder. Oh, I'm so moved by that inspirational story. And he told stories about losing things, about things being lost. And it's in Scripture several times about the woman that has 10 coins and she lost one. Anybody remember what she did? Okay. She walked away from the $5 for her, Helen. She walked away and she put more energy on the one that was lost than the 9 that she had. He also would say, if you had 100 sheep and one left the herd, what would you do? Would you go and find the one that was lost? Yes, you are to do that, even though you have the 99. We talk about the lost son, the prodigal son. Why is that important? In those days, in those words, if they weren't even changed by someone later on, but the originality of it is it talked about that one of the 10 and the one of the 100 is the idea of sin. Now in Unity, what that is, it's taken off an archery term, and it simply means missing the mark. Missing the mark. And what I feel was being stated there is that your soul is here, multifaceted as it is, to achieve your 100 things on your list. And every now and then you feel like something's missing, something's lost. How did I wind up doing this instead of that over there? Everyone with me? There's something lost. And every person here would raise their hand, even the people in the Silent Protection Witness Program that, you would raise your hand and you would say, I feel that. I feel like something's missing. I feel like something's lost. And the energy of that is that it must be natural then for us to feel that way. It must be part of our soul mission to keep looking for something. And it may not even mean that we are destined to find it. It may simply mean that we continue to pay the miracles attention in our lives. It's likened to that debris that is in the oyster that creates the pearl. Because as long as you feel like, oh, I feel a little off, or I feel a little this, or I feel a little that, you continue to expand to be a better student on this journey we call life, don't we? And so it's that energetic presence. I love this time of the season, and many a times as a little girl, I would go over to my grandmother's and we'd put together a puzzle. It was so fun, the quality time that we had and that we would spend together. And what I observed about that, the space of that, is that we had the image, we'd have that, the image of what it was supposed to look like, and we would go, oh, there's supposed to be another red piece. It's like, I don't see it, do you? And then we'd take the easy route. We'd try to force fit a piece. I think some of you have done that before. Some of us did, right? We send them a Christmas card every year. Yeah, we would force fit something. But we would be questioning the manufacturer of the puzzle. They must have left that piece out. They must have not put it in there because I can't find it. It's supposed to be red and it's It's not here. What? We would question the manufacturer. We would be determined that we ought to be able to find it. The universe, the divine, is our manufacturer. When you agreed to be sent here to bring this Christ light to the world at this particular time and this generational energy with this world in the space of calling us forth, you were brought with all the pieces that you needed to fulfill your soul mission. Can you feel that in your space? Can you feel that in your energy? And so perhaps if we feel like we're not having that now, we learn to ask the greater questions. What within me needs to open up so I can continue to move forward? But we don't want to doubt the creation that made us. And that's where people go astray, is they start doubting, well, if it was meant to be, it was meant to be, rather than being in the space of, here I am. Here I am again today, that's right, showing up for duty called life. Here I am, bring it on, bring it on. Bring out more. I have the capacity within me to realize my soul mission. And this is the year, in 2023, that I will remember it more than any year, that my soul mission is activated within me. Does that sound like a good project? As Reverend Kathy would say, does that sound like a good assignment, friends? Friends, this is an assignment. Does that sound good? Yes? Let's give Reverend Kathy some love. Absolutely. We found ourselves, BB and I, at dinner on Friday night with another couple, and we didn't have an agenda. We didn't have a plan. We didn't have anything that, oh, we're just getting to know you and let's go around and say something that means a lot to you or, whatever. We just allowed. It was very interesting what came over us because we were talking about this holiday season and the wide range of emotions that people go through. And I've never lived in this incarnation without Christmas. So I can't speak as an expert to that. However, I suspect that some of the feelings that we go through have nothing to do with holidays at all. They have everything to do with it gets dark real early. We go into a winter time. And if we did not live in such a commercialized world and we lived in the middle of a jungle somewhere, I suspect we would still go through some deep emotions because it's how we continue to activate and keep our heart open. Anyway, it sounds impressive, don't you think? Because we've made it about the holidays, because that's all we know. But I ask you to dig deeper into that, because there is a time to go dark. There is a time to go without so much light. So we dig deeper. And that's the depth of love, is learning to go deeper. So here we are with these friends, and we just all start telling stories about our parents that are no longer here, and talking about final moments. And it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful because nobody had to feel uncomfortable and change the subject. And nobody went, well, let's hear what you're going to do over the holiday. No, everybody sat in this sacred space and we listened to one another. We listen to the feelings. We listen to the sadness. Somebody came up, the choir has been so beautiful because one of my oldest dogs almost died last week. And it was a very vulnerable place. And a number of them have come up today and said, I'm holding you in my prayers. And all of you can too. I'll take all the prayers I can get, actually. But I said, yes, that is so real. But what's also real is this is my first holiday without my mom. And I feel that. And I'm not cheating myself of my feelings for the sake of anybody else being comfortable. And I invite you to be that way. If they're up, they're up. Feel them. Be in this time of the dark of winter. Feel your emotions. Feel your feelings. That's why you get to be 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120. That's how you get to be an aged person, and you still have energy in your body, and you're walking around with the presence and power of life. Can I get an amen and an a woman? Absolutely. And so that's a worth thing. A worth thing is understanding to talk about the space that you're in and know that you trust your process so much that you're not concerned with what other people think of you. That's not your business. You weren't created to build a life about what other people think of you. You were created to think about what do you think about yourself and your task of being sent here. And that's part of that sacred journey. There was a famous baseball coach that his name is John Scalinas, and he won lots of games with his teams, and he went on to be a keynote speaker at the conventions. And so they would have 4,000 coaches from all over. And so he was very popular, and everybody was always thrilled when he was the keynote. And so he walked out one time in his keynote, and he had hanging around his neck a home plate. And he went on to talk 15 minutes and, 20 minutes. And you know how audiences are. They're trying to figure it out. What's that hanging there for? And so after he was so much into his talk and people were yay and having such a good time, he said, how wide is home plate in Little League, guys? And they all said 17 inches. Well, how wide is it in, elementary and junior high and high school? 17 inches, they would say. Then he said, well, what about college? 17 inches. What about the minor league? 17 inches. Come on, Bob, I know you want to. What about the major league? 17 inches. And he said, it has been that way since the beginning of time. It has been that way since the beginning of time. 17 inches. And when the first pitcher came along and couldn't make it, and the second one came along and couldn't make it, and the batter couldn't stand in the box in such a way to hit the ball correctly, not one time did anybody say, let's make it 18 inches. Let's make it 19. Oh, we're so sorry you can't hit it and throw the ball accurately. What about we make it 25 inches? No, not one time. It is 17 inches. How many of you want to go play baseball today? The unity principles work. They work. They work as we work them. They work as we trust them. They work as we do not walk away from them. They work in the best of times and the most challenging of times. We do not change them. We integrate them in a deeper way and on a greater level. Allow yourself to immerse in this vibrancy, the deepening of who you are during this amazing season. It's so powerful, and there's so much potential for your life and for my life. We're all on this journey together. Yes? We're in it. We woke up one day and we're all here. And so we give ourselves that. I was thinking that we have become like, we have succumbed to, we have to have a username and a password. And people name it usually after one of their dogs that's no longer alive, Skippy and Hoppy and all that, right? But you have to have the username and you have to have the password. And a lot of people aren't comfortable with Google automatically storing them, so they have a little black book. Like in the old days of dating, remember that? Or an address book or, something. That username and the password, you can't get into your own bank account if you don't have the right information. And you certainly can't get on Netflix or Insta or Facebook or any of that. And if something happens, like you have a power out, a lot of times you have to go re-enter all of that. And you must have the accurate information. Thus is true for us. We all have a username. Our username is I am divine. Say that with me. I am divine. And our password is I accept all my good. I accept all my good. Those are the ways that continue to open the energetic field of your heart. Likened to that word called grace. That beauty of the power of grace is God realized as consciousness expressing. That's what grace is. And the discovery of life and this amazing journey. Thank you for engaging me today. Such a pleasure to be with you. Thank you.